Hello everyone, this is Peter Frank and this is my video on chromatic sequences. Okay, so with chromatic sequences, we're really taking diatonic models and we're making them more chromatic. Okay, so we're going to start here first with looking at this one here, D2 minus perfect fourth plus major third. Okay, so we're going to start there. But first we're going to look at a diatonic sequence, this one right here. We'll have just a listen to the outer voices. Okay, so in that particular one, there is no chromaticism. We're clearly in D major. Okay, we start on 1. Okay, we end up on 1. Okay, the entire sequence, well, we could actually go through all the chords that are in there. Okay, there are different ways of analyzing sequences. We can first analyze all the chords. Okay, so in this particular one, we go from 1 to 5, up to 6, down to 3 minor, okay, then to 4, then to 1, like that, and then we break out of the sequence. Okay, so the whole sequence here, we really start on 1, okay, and then we can put a line here to just say, oh yeah, well, we're going through this descending second, minus 4, plus 2 sequence, like that, and it takes us back to 1, and then we go to a 2 chord, and then 5, and then 1, like that. Okay, all right. Now if we look at the intervals, when we look at all the numbers that are in our description here, those are generic intervals. So we go down generically a fourth, up generically a second, down generically fourth, down generically up a second, down generically a fourth. Okay, okay, but when we're looking at chromatic sequences, that's when we start to invoke specific intervals, like a minus perfect fourth and going up a minor third. Okay, so that's going to change a bit when we move over here, when we invoke that type of sequence. Okay, and that's what we're dealing with right here. Okay, so we'll have a listen to that. Let's start it. Okay, all right, it was going on to another example. So again, we're still in D major. Okay, if we're just looking at the sequence itself, let's see, so we're going to start on 1. The whole sequence really takes us to maybe to there. Okay, where does this take us to? Depending where we get off, we could say it takes us to this chord here, and that's going to be 4 minor, right? Because we have the B flat in there. Then to 5. Then to 1, like that. Okay. Of course, the whole sequence is descending second minus. Now I'm going to write that a bit better. Minus a perfect fourth. Okay. Then up a minor third, because those specific intervals are preserved through the entire sequence. Okay, it goes, you know, down a perfect fourth, up a minor third, down a perfect fourth, up a minor third, down a perfect fourth. Okay, and then this is where, whoop, this is where it starts to fizzle out, right there. Okay, we could also look at each specific chord, right? We go on 1. We go to 5, then we go to flat 7. Okay, depending how we look at it, we could go to, well, we could say we're going to 4. We could then say we're going to flat 6, okay, and then also going to flat 3, okay, the F major, okay, and then we break out of it. There are other ways of looking at the Roman numeral analysis. If we wanted to preserve this particular model, the 1 to 5, well, then we could say, oh, we go 1 to 5, and then we go to flat 7, and then to 5 of it, and then we go to flat 6, and then we go to 5 of it. So that preserves this kind of tonic to back-related dominant. Why is it back-related? Because this 5 refers back to the one that it just tonicized. Okay? All right, so that is a descending second minus perfect 4 plus minor, pardon me, I'm going to say that again. Descending second minus perfect fourth plus minor third. Okay, let's move on to another type of descending second sequence. Okay, and this is based on the diatonic version of D2 minus 5 plus 4. So if we're going to have a, why don't we have a listen to that one, just the outer voices. Okay. Oh, no, I don't want to listen to that. Okay. All right. Okay, so in this particular one, the one that we just heard, we're first dealing with, again, generic intervals, okay? Now I say generic because not all of them are perfect intervals, okay? So this one here is a perfect fifth, okay? But then G to C sharp, okay, well that's actually, you know, that's an augmented fourth, okay? But when we're looking at this description, we're not worried about specific intervals. We're just worried about the generic intervals, okay? Because we're not moving out of a key or anything like that. We're not invoking chromaticism. But once we do invoke specific intervals, well, then things start to change, okay? And that's what's happening right here. Now we're going to go down specifically a perfect fourth, okay? And specifically up. Did I say fourth? Okay, let's let's say that again. We're going to go down specifically a perfect fifth, and then up specifically a perfect fourth. Okay, so that kind of changes the sound of what we're dealing with. So let's have a listen to this one. Okay, so that has a different sound to it, doesn't it? Okay, because now we can see that, well, we're in D, we're starting on 1, and we can actually see that we're well, we go to 4 here, right? And depending how we look at it, we can say, oh, well, this, because it's F major, this is our flat 3, right? This is our flat 2, okay. But very quickly we can start to see that we start to get into kind of weird, you know, weird Roman numerals like that. So sometimes looking at the specific Roman numerals don't really make a whole lot of sense, because we're not going to have something like flat 1. Like that just, you know, that doesn't really make sense. So there sometimes is a rationale for just looking at the bigger picture, okay? And in that case, here we can just say, well, we start on 1, okay? And let's see, where should we go to? This is our descending second, down a perfect, down a perfect fifth, down a perfect fifth, up a perfect fourth sequence, okay? And that takes us to, well, perhaps we could get off here. No, you know what? I'm going to go all the way to the 5. Okay, and then to 1, like that. Okay. Another modification of it is now going down a perfect fifth and up an augmented fourth. Okay, so the augmented fourth is like between G and C sharp. Okay, between F sharp and C natural. Okay. Well, that's actually diminished fifth, but it's enharmonically equivalent to an augmented fourth. Okay. This is the thing. Once you start dealing with chromaticism, eventually you're going to have to invoke enharmonicism at some point. Okay, or else the spelling gets very strange. Okay, and this is the end of our exercise. Okay, so now let's see how this sounds. Oh, wait. Oh, wait. I was playing the wrong one. Yeah, here we go. Okay, so this one, we start on 1, takes us to 5. We could even grab this flat 2, okay, and then to 1. And the entire thing is descending second minus perfect fifth up and augmented fourth, like that. Okay, notice too that all of the chords here, all of them, they're all major triads. Okay, so that's something else to take note of as well. Okay, all right, next let's go to ascending sequences. Okay, so going up an ascending second. Okay, and we'll first start with a diatonic version here. Diatonic, however, with tonicization happening on every second chord. Okay, so let's have a listen to this diatonic ascending second minus 3 plus 4. Okay, here we go. Okay, so we're still in D major. We could actually analyze every chord here, okay, because now we're going up in seconds, right? So we're starting at 1, we go to up a second to 2, up a second to 3, up another second to 4, okay, and that's where we break out of the sequence, go to 5, and then to 1. Okay, and then each intervening chord is a tonicization, okay, of the following chord. So this is going to be, I'm just going to put in 6/5, right? Because it's a chord with B as the root, and it's a dominant in 6/5 position. So it's 6/5 of 2. This is the C sharp chord with its third in the bass, 6/5 of 3. This is a D chord with its third in the bass. It's going to be 6/5 of 4. Okay, and that's how that one works. Still essentially diatonic, even though there's tonicization happening. Now we're going to use these specific intervals of going down a major third and up a perfect fourth. Okay, so we're in D here. Okay, if we just look at some of the chordal roots that we start on D, then this one, the root of it is B flat. So we're going down that major third, okay? And then we go up a perfect fourth from B flat up to E flat, okay? Like that. So that's our model, okay? So this is the ascending second. This is the down a major third. And this is the ascending perfect fourth, like that. So now it has the same kind of similar progression as the diatonic version, but now there's more chromaticism invoked here. So let's have a listen to this one. Okay. Oh, yeah, I didn't want that last chord there, but yeah, so we start on 1, and again, we're going up in seconds. This time we're going up in minor seconds. Okay. All right, so here we start on 1. We actually get up to flat 2. We then get up to 2, up to flat 3, the F major chord, then up to 3. No, it should be 3 major, right? Because it has an F sharp, A sharp, C sharp. Then we get to our 4, and that's where we break out, where the pattern changes here, okay? Because we can see the bass goes G-A, and it doesn't just stay on the G. Pardon me, that should be a 4. So that's going to be a 4. This is going to be a 5, and that's going to be a 1. Then I can put my intervening chords. So this time we still have the 6-5 of the following chord, 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 like that. And then if we want to look at it from a bigger, broader point of view, it's 1 goes to 4-5. That gives you the bigger harmonic picture, and we are doing that that tonic expansion via this ascending second minus major third plus perfect fourth. And let me just put in the previous example right here. This too, we can also go 1 goes up to 4, 5, 1, like that, via the ascending second minus 3 plus 4 sequence. Okay, let's move on to some other chromatic descent bases. Okay, so these aren't technically these aren't sequences. Okay, but they still have, I guess, kind of a sequential nature in them, in that at least through the chromatic step descent bass, there's this pattern of just constantly going through a chromatic progression melodically, right? Like going from G down to F sharp, down to F natural, down to E natural, E flat, and so on and so forth. Okay, so we could treat this first one as a model. Okay, and why don't we just have a listen to that one? We're in G minor this time. I've provided the analysis. Okay. Okay. All right. What can I say about that? Yeah, so we have 3 levels of analysis here, actually. Okay, so here we have the first level where I show you all the different chords that are there. Okay, and then this here is a type of second level where we're just looking at the big picture of what's going on there, that we're really just going down in 6/3 chords. Okay, so this one, this one, this one, this one. Okay, and it's really just a way of getting us from 1 all the way down to R5, like that. Okay, now we can kind of enhance this progression, and we can start, you know, creating perhaps a bit more motion in the bass line. Okay, and we can do that via these 7/6 suspensions. Okay, and we kind of start off this string of 7/6s by creating this motion, this 5, 6 up here in the soprano, or somewhere in the upper voices. Okay? So why don't we have a listen to this one? So this is, what is this? A chromatic descent with 6/3 chords and suspensions. Let's have a listen. Yeah, why don't we slow that down a bit, eh? That's a bit fast. I'm going to do it one more time. Okay, all right, and these chords here, where we have the 7/6 suspensions, we're not going to analyze them individually, okay? We're just going to start off with our 1 right here, show the 5/6 motion above the 1, and then as the bass descends from G to F sharp, we're just going to show that there's this 7/6 motion. 7/6 motion. And then right here at the end of that 7/6 motion, that's where we have 4/6. Looks like a good place where we can kind of go back into the analysis. That can be our predominant chord. That takes us to the dominant, and the 5 with the 4/3 suspension, which is right there. Okay. What's another thing that we can do? Well, we can also look at chromatic descents with diminished 7th chords. And here, in this particular case, again, we start off with this 1 with a 5/6 motion up here in the soprano. And then once we get to this string of diminished 7th chords, we're not going to put the Roman numerals. We're just going to say, oh yeah, this is a diminished 7th sonority, and then I'm going to tell you what the inversion is. So it vacillates back and forth between 7 and then 4/3, 7/5, 4/3. You know what? In this particular instance, you could have just said diminished 7, diminished 7. Okay, you don't really need the 5 there. Okay. All right. So here we're just telling you what the quality is via the diminished symbol, and then the inversion with the figured bass. Now, because, let's see, what do I want to say here? You don't have to put in specific intervals with the figured bass in this particular case, okay? Just like when we go to our 5 chord here, we're not using specific intervals with our figured bass. For instance, the F sharp, we're not saying, oh, we need to put a sharp right here, okay? Because that sharp is taken care of via the uppercase 5, okay? It tells us that it's major, that by virtue of it being major, there must be an F sharp there. That's kind of the same thing with our diminished 7th chords, okay? By the fact that I'm already telling you that it's diminished, it tells you what other accidentals are going to be there, okay? So you just need to put generic figured bass numerals and then the diminished symbol sign, and that should be enough to tell us what's going on. So let's have a listen to that one. Let's see here. Hopefully it's the right tempo. Okay, so you can see once you get into this string of diminished 7th chords, there isn't any sense of, well, where am I tonally, okay? Which is the reason why we don't put Roman numerals there, okay? It's just really just sort of this descending motion, okay? And that's really all we want to capture, and that's a means of expanding our tonic towards the predominant. Okay, finally, we can have a chromatic descent with augmented 6th chords and dominant 7th chords. So this sort of invokes the idea of enharmonic modulation. It uses that technology, okay? And we've already seen this kind of thing with enharmonic modulation, and that's what we're dealing with here, right? Where we have this what sounds like an applied of 4, but then becomes a German 6/5 in a new key. Here it's going to be sharp 3 minor, and that's going to be B, okay? All right, and then it changes to B flat, changes to A, which is 2, changes to A flat, which is flat 2, and then finally gets us to 1. Okay, now I'm not really saying yay or nay whether or not we're modulating. However, what we are doing is that we are invoking double functions for each of these chords. Okay, meaning that when we first hear this E sharp, we first hear it as F natural. Okay, so we go into the chord with it being a dominant chord, but then we come out of it with it functioning as a German 6/5 chord. Okay, so it has a double function, and the only way you can invoke a double function is to invoke 2 keys. Okay, so the jury's out whether or not we're modulating. I don't really care about that. What I care about is that we're invoking this double function of these chords to create this sort of progression. Okay, so let's have a listen to that and see how that sounds. Okay, so once we start getting into the progression proper right there, you can see that we have a German 6/5, or the 5/7 turns into a German 6/5, and then it goes to this French 4/3. And the reason why that French 4/3 is there is that it's trying to prevent, well, let's see here. Do we really need a reason for that there? I think there are some reasons for it, because if I held on to this D over here, then that would create fifths between the G and the D, and then the F sharp and the C sharp. Okay, so we sort of invoke a French 4/3, and in fact, actually, I should put that in right here. There's another French 4/3 right here. Okay. All right, so that's the reason for that pattern, okay, is to sort of prevent these parallel fifths from going on, okay? And that's really as far as I can take this presentation on chromatic sequences. If you want to see more, I would look in the Lates textbook and also look at my handout, okay? So that's my presentation on chromatic sequences. Thanks for watching.